Hey, how's it going? On this episode of Home Water Dispatch, I'm on the banks of the Parana River. I'm on the Argentinian side. Paraguay is over there. Upstream is that way. Downstream is that way. Just a point of reference because that's kind of important when we dive into the topic for today. I'm super grateful to be here and to learn a bit more about the environment, to start to meet a lot of my collaborators in person. Some of the conversations that we've been having for a number of years developed via Zoom and even started even during the pandemic. And so I'm incredibly thankful to be here and to be immersed in the environment and to understand more about the home waters that the fishing guides here at that work for set fly fishing. They spend lots of time on the water fishing for Golden Dorado, which is pretty cool, which is another reason why I'm here, because I'm interested in doing some more research in that species. Spent some time yesterday meeting with some biologists from a university in Corrientes. They're also collaborators in this next chapter in some research that I want to do, or hopefully going to be doing, on Golden Dorado. And I want to take this opportunity for this episode to talk about regulated rivers and what that really means. And so when I mentioned that there's an upstream and downstream side to the Parana, I'm in the Upper Parana, and upstream of here are a couple really, really big hydroelectric dams. And they essentially influence the water flow that comes downstream. That there's big reservoirs behind them. Those reservoirs fill up during the rainy season, and they discharge water into the river. And unlike other dams, they don't change the flow rate coming out of the dam based on energy loads. It's fairly consistent. So the flow rate that we see on the Paraná is really influenced based on climate. The trick is, and the thing to consider, is that those dams still act as barriers for movement of fish, for movement for other aquatic life, for movement of sediment and nutrients downstream. So they're still barriers, even though they're not really playing a major role in the regulation of the water levels. Right now, it's relatively dry. It's been dry for a while, and the water level is quite down. I'm not sure if you can see on the bank of the island behind me that the sandbank is really exposed. During the rainy season, when the water levels are higher, it can be that'll be covered with water. The water level will go up 6 meters, which is 18, 19, 20 feet. So quite a big difference in terms of the height of the river and the flow rate. Right now it's relatively, even though you can't see it, still a pretty good flow, but it's not like it is during the rainy season when the water is moving quite a bit. And so thinking about flow rates, thinking about barriers, are useful when we put it in the context of when we're trying to study the movement patterns of a species like Golden Dorado, which we know they're migratory. The collaborators at the local university have been doing some just regular tagging, external tags, and they've tagged, I think, close to 4,000 to date, and there have been about a 10% recapture rate. And some of those fish have been recaptured relatively far away. Other fish in that data set have actually been recaptured multiple times and very close to where they were initially caught. And so when we think about life as a Golden Dorado, maybe before the dams were in place, they were likely migrating maybe even further upstream beyond where the dams are, in terms to satisfy their life history traits, whether it was chasing sabalo, which is a forage fish that they prey on a lot, or to maybe move further upstream to spawn, to basically reproduce. So I always approach a system like this and understanding the nature of the environment, the flow rates, the environmental conditions, and really am very grateful for the insights that the local stakeholders and biologists and users of this environment have, because it starts to shape the ideas that we can, and the hypotheses that we can develop that are then used for the science. And that way, we're addressing questions that they have based on the role that Golden Dorado play in this ecosystem, based on maybe how that dam is ultimately impacting the Golden Dorado population, their biology, and especially as recreational fisheries like for Golden Dorado continue to develop, we want to make sure that we have a better understanding of the various pressures that are being put on those populations when we think about maybe increasing the number of lodges or participation rates or marketing an area like this. It's pretty dynamic. It's a pretty complex system and a complex set of user groups and stakeholders that need to be included in the science and ultimately in the application of that science for the conservation and management for a species like Golden Dorado. Another thing to consider when we're working with a species like Golden Dorado, and hopefully I'll post some pictures. I mean, they're pretty gnarly. They have big teeth, they're super aggressive, they're very angry fish. They're probably, high up the food chain. They're probably, I wouldn't necessarily say apex predators, but they might be. We need to be able to use some science to define whether they're an apex predator. But if they are, and we can maybe let's hypothesize that they are, that they may play an important role in the structure of the aquatic food web in the Parana River. They also eat a lot of terrestrial things like mice and insects. We actually, there was one here not long ago that leapt out of the water and ate a dragonfly out of the sky. And so it was really neat, and to think about that integrated relationship of the Golden Dorado, how it supports livelihoods of the guides and the community from a recreational angling standpoint. And then the role that it plays in the ecosystem. And that's why when we are developing a research project, like the one we're hopefully gonna do pretty soon, that we wanna make sure that we are thinking about the layers of questions that we can address with certain technologies, with the not only assistance, with the collaboration and partnerships that with the user groups, with the guides, with the university, with the government. And so that ultimately when it comes to the way that science gets applied, that information gets applied, it'll raise more awareness for the sustainable use of this home water and the sustainable use of the recreational fishery related to Golden Dorado. And so I'm gonna end there. There will be more episodes of Home Water Dispatch along my journey. I'm here for a little while longer, going to some other locations where Golden Dorado are fished for, and the environment is very different. And so I'll reflect on that a little bit more, thinking about the context of the way Golden Dorado, again, are part of this amazing recreational fishery, but they're also part of the ecosystem, and they have maybe more intrinsic value, ecological value, all sorts of things. Anyway, I'm rambling as I normally do. I'm gonna end this episode of Home Water Dispatch now, and we shall see you later. Ciao.